So since we last spoke, there's been brand new news that has just arrived for Qwen 3.8 27B. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest model drops of the year for local AI. So without further ado, let's break down why I highly believe that. First and foremost, guys, if you aren't already following me, go and follow me over on Tech2Wild on my X account. I will leave it down below in the description. Now, since then, Model Scope has dropped a countdown for the drop of Qwen 3.8. Now, this, of course, is the max model, the 2.8 or 2.4 terabyte model. It's huge, right? Very, very big. That's what she said. But 5 days, 6 hours, 28 minutes. What that is from when I just did my last little look over, it was Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, or next Tuesday, my bad, at, I want to say it was 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I got right. And if I did get it wrong, I'll leave a pinned comment down below and also in the description. But that was, from what I got, was Tuesday, and it was like Tuesday at like 8 a.m. or something like that over in China. But yeah, we had that model dropping. Now, this is for 3.8 Max. From the overall just description and what they are saying, for the most part, was that the model was dropping alongside with it. It didn't seem like it was like a different time of the drop. Let's just reread the tweet once and for all and then get into the meat and potatoes. Next week, the open weights for 3.8 Max will be released, and 3.8 27B is also going open weights to meet you all. And so we don't know if it's going to be and at the same time, or if, because it did say 3.8 Max will be released alongside with 20, it said and 27B is going open weight. So we really don't have too much to go off there, but I would not understand why they would separate the two. I just don't understand. But we do got that. But the bigger news is, on our last video where we were talking, guys, I was sitting up here talking about where 3.8 would land, for some reason not correlating it in my brain. But I was talking about where I thought it was going to land, and I said I thought it was going to land somewhere right here. My bad, I think I said Kimmy's a dense. Kimmy's have MOE as well. And for the most part, what we're also seeing is, I was thinking that it was going to land between Kimmy and, I want to say whatever it was right between Kimmy. Kimmy's a dense. That was Kimmy and Opus 4.8. Little did I know, though, and I found out later on in that video, that you could see they had Qwen 3.8 Max sitting right at 53. Well, since then, they took it off and actually went back and adjusted the numbers and have moved it up since then, right where I said it would be. I gotta find the actual part just to see if I was spot on, so I can pat myself on the back. And basically letting us know that this 2.4 terabytes of parameters is going to put us somewhere, in my humble opinion, really close to where we're seeing Kimmy at. I would think that Qwen 3.8 could sit in the 56 to 58, maybe 59, but I honestly think they're gonna give it that 58 index overall. That's just my opinion. So I was a little off, but I was close. I was in that territory for the most part. And then I found out it was at 53, and I was like, what the hell? But then they updated it, so it's at 56 right now. It's on par with Opus 4.8. Of course, now we're at Opus 5 and Fable 5 right underneath it, but it's putting it right here, open weights, a very, very huge model overall. And then going from an agentic standpoint, it does, I want to say, it's number 1 on the agentic index right now. That's wild. That's crazy. Now, with that said, Artificial Analysis has also put out 11 hours ago about this, saying that it scored 56, and it made a big time jump, if you could see, from 3.7 Max all the way up to 3.8. It jumped 10 points as well. So we're seeing these big, huge 10-point jumps. We saw a 10-point jump with Kimmy. I want to say with Kimmy 2.6/2.7, whichever one that was, a big jump from those. It might have been actually more. I want to say it was like 13 or something, but it jumped pretty big. Matter of fact, let's just look it up. We're here, we're chilling, right? Nobody's in a rush, because 2.7 did not like really do anything. It was really odd, right? 47 or 44 to 57. So it was a 13-point jump. DeepSeek V4 Flash, the Flash preview, was at 40 and it jumped to 50. Now we got Qwen jumping from 46 to 56. So we're seeing a 10-point jump there as well. Now, I'm once again always telling you guys, we can't go everything off of correlation of one of the other, but we do look at things like Inkling, which is at 41, and then Inkling's Flash model is at 40. DeepSeek V4 Pro is technically the preview, which I think that's the actual release of that is dropping very, very soon. But even the Pro version and Minimax M3 are behind the Flash model at this point. We're seeing these big, gigantic leaps. With that said, taking this all into consideration, and let's just say that this is the case with DeepSeek V4 Pro, are we going to see this thing jump from 44 to 54, right, and tied with Grok? We'll have to wait and see for the most part. But we're seeing 10 leap bounds. Minimax is supposed to be dropping a huge model as well. Minimax Max or something like that. 54 maybe jumped as well. We'll have to just wait and see. But why am I saying this over and over? Why am I continuously, doing that? Well, it's because I'm trying to get an idea of how big of a leap could this potentially be for 27B. What we are seeing, though, that Flash models compared to their bigger MOE models, there's not a big amount of leap. See, Pro is 44. Flash was 40. Inkling is 40. I want to say 1. Inkling Flash is 40. We're not seeing that gap is not expanding. The gap is shrinking. And with the gap shrinking, it only leads me to believe that the gap is going to shrink even more for this. The last number we got from 3.6 27B was 37, which was already 3 points behind. 3 points behind DeepSeek V4 Flash preview. So it's 3 points behind Flash preview, a preview model. The preview model now has went from preview to official, not a 4.0 to 4.1 or 4.2 or no, preview to official. No difference of jump in particular number, right? When we see those number jumps from a 4.0 to a 4.5 or 4. We see big jumps and leaps, just like the 3.7 to 3.8 was a 10-point leap. But now we're seeing a preview go from preview to official, and that's a 10-point leap. So if this is 37, do we got to look at this at this point at 27B? 3.7 27B was going to be what, 45, 47? But we're at 3.8. So we're not jumping just 1, we're jumping 0.2. That's a pretty big leap and jump from that 27B model to where it's going. Could it jump 20 points? I don't see that happening at this point because Max is right there. But I personally think at this point, it would be a disservice. It would be cap. It would be a lie if this is no more than 50 points plus. It only makes sense. You look at 3.5 27B, it was at 34. 3.6 went up 4 points or 3 points, so not too much. But when you look at the other ones, you're just seeing these humongous jumps and leaps. And these humongous jumps and leaps are only coming in at the 0.1s and Kimi 2.5, Kimi 2.6, Kimi now 3, of course, that's a big one. 3 points, let's just see, for instance, right? Because they did have a 3.6 max, right? They had the 3.6 max preview. So the Qwen 3.6 max preview was at 40. So there's even more information for you at this point. If we were going to call it how it is, and I didn't even think about that. 3.6 max preview, the big model, the model that is actually out now in 3.8 was at 40 with 27B 3.6 at 37, 3 points behind. Do we keep that correlation there? Do we put 27B at then 53 on Sonnet level? That sounds crazy. And I'm not sitting here going to say off the rip that that's the case. I will say, though, to end that off, is that all of these models that we're looking at, for the most part, all of these, except for 27B, the majority, except for this Maestro, I want to say, are all MOE models. So a dense model is going to rank better than a MOE model, I would say pound for pound part. Get what I'm saying? Not saying it's just going to be better overall. But what I'm trying to say is, for instance, a 35BA3, which that parameter is 35 parameters, but 3 active, 27B all active is going to outdo the bigger parameter overall model. So a 27 full parameter active is probably going to do better than a DeepSeek V4 Flash that is 284 parameters, but only 13 active, because you got 27 active versus 13 active. Those 27 all fire off at the same time. Them 284s, they don't. Only 13 of those fire off on every given turn. So it's a lot going on here. I'm not speaking as the executioner, but I love speculating at this point because this is going to be a big time model. And at this point, doing all this, it only makes sense that this model has to be in the 50s. And I honestly think it has to, if we follow the correlation, it would need to be in like 53. I just don't think that artificial analysis or anybody out there is gonna dare put this model that high up. It's just too much it will shock people. And at the end of the day, these are just benchmarks. But at the same time, 27B is a model I still use to this day, and it's extremely, extremely, extremely capable, and is probably one of the pound for pound best models out there, which leads me to talk more about why this model is such a serious model overall. Now, of course, recently they talked about the moving of everything up, and then one of the things that's also being spoken about is smaller models. They're getting a lot of questions about this. They're acknowledging it, and they're saying that they're, keep the requests coming. So we may see some more 35Bs. We definitely want to see some 9Bs. We definitely want to see some 110Bs, the MOE version. But really, when all those are put up together, that 27B is definitely the pound for pound champ right now. And that's what everybody wants. Now, why is this model so important, right? I'll tell you why. Because this is the model that is probably one of the most accessible models out there for everyday consumers and people. It's very, very easy to run for the most part. I would argue slightly that 9B is even more, of course, which is a dense model of 9 parameters full. Very, 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 very capable. But 27B is like the best bang for the buck. And what is put out there recently by Unsloth, who does great jobs with the GGUFs, they are saying that they, will be able to run this model locally on 17 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, it would honestly be even ran probably lower than that, but for a 4-bit quant, that's what they're probably going to be aiming for, which 4-bit usually gives you a very near to lossless quality of the full base model. So that is why and what they'll be currently aiming for. And they will have 0-day training and infra support of 3.8 max. So 3.8, they said in general. So I guess that means that they're already probably working on it at this point. They're saying that they got 0-day, day 0 training. That means that they more than likely have access to the model, and they're already working on getting those quants out so that the day that this drops, you will be able to download it straight from them the day of release, which is phenomenal. But to even go back to this, right, let me just show you. So this is the Qwen 3.8 27B, and this is what you currently can run this on. So even if you are someone that does not have that much VRAM, you can run this at 2-bit at 10 gigabytes, 9 gigabytes at the lowest. 4 is at where you get into 15. This is where a lot of the good quality is going to come out of it at the end of the day. But even then, if you can't get access to it, the 2-bit will do the job. Maybe a little bit less, but it's still a highly, highly capable overall model. Now, I say this, and to go back to focusing on why this is such a very important model, guys, because this model, what I've ran it with and been running it with for going on since February as it's progressed, this is a model, as I stated before, is that all of us are going to be able to run. DeepSeek V4 Flash, technically speaking, costs you around $8,000, $9,000. And what I mean by that is to get 2 DGX Sparks to run it, that's how much you're going to have to spend. You could run it on one. There's some new repos out. People are running it on 1 DGX Spark at 2-bit. But if you want the full experience, speed and all, full context and all, 2 DGX Sparks is the way to go. That's very expensive. I understand. That's very expensive. 4-bit, you could technically run this on 1 3090, or 1 GPU that has 24 gigabytes of VRAM. I could technically probably say you can run it on like a 5080. Like I have a 5080 as well. That's 16 gigabytes of VRAM, but you're going to be looking into the 3 bits and 2 bits to get that done, to have some space for headroom and overall KV cache and KV pool and all that. You're going to need some context, some headroom, right? So if I'm going to say this to be 100% honest with you, you could probably run it with the compute you already have, or you can also invest in your compute and grab a 3090 for around $1,000 on eBay, or grab another GPU and run 2 GPUs in your system, or swap it out for something. I suggest, like I did initially, was running 2 GPUs in my system, and I dedicated 1 GPU fully to 27B, and I was running it very nice with solid headroom and getting the job done. But when you have this model in your hands, it puts you in a whole different capability. You're going to be able to run a model that I think is going to be scoring around that DeepSeek V4 Flash close to GLM, which GLM is, even though it's 51 now, GLM 5.2 is about to release soon, and our 5.3 is going to release soon. I think it's going to be, once again, state of the art, and I'm going to once again move over to that. But you will have a model that, in my opinion, is capable enough for you to, if you are running Frontier, you're running that $200 max, you probably can bump it down to 100 and pass a lot of stuff on to that 27B. A lot of projects, a lot of orchestration can be ran and done through that 27B. It is a highly capable model, especially at coding and agentic work, that can get the job done. It can figure it out. And that is speaking from the 3.6 spectrum, not even what's going to be capable next. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. DeepSeek V4 Flash, I can point an agent to it, run it through my Obsidian secondary brain, and it will find out what it needs to do and get the job done. 27B, I think, will come in, and I honestly think it's going to be a better model than DeepSeek V4 Flash, even though I love DeepSeek V4 Flash. And if it isn't better than DeepSeek V4 Flash, that's fine. I think over time, DeepSeek has become my favorite guys now. But Qwen has definitely got me back in good graces, letting me know that they're going to drop this model. So I'm just talking about what is on the horizon because Tuesday, I think that we are going to see a big shakeup in local AI. We're going to definitely do a follow-up the day of release once we get it running. We'll have a repo drop as well. We'll run it on the Sparks. We'll run it on the 3090s. I'll put some recipes out as soon as I possibly can. And I think that this is the time, like, I don't want to tell you guys to spend money, but try to get some compute, man, because this model will be a model that I think will put you into the game. And people like to say the word, you would no longer be a part of the lower class or whatever that is, or whatever that statement, underclass or whatever the hell. It's just a highly capable model that will be able to do a lot of stuff for you. And you can do it all at home locally on your own hardware. This model is going to be a game breaker. It's going to be a big time moment. I feel it. DeepSeek was a huge moment for me, but this is even more. And the main reason is because DeepSeek, like I said before, it's going to cost you a lot of RAM. 27B costs nothing almost, man. Puts everybody on the playing field. So yeah, 56 is where we're at. If we go off correlation of what we've seen in the past, which is only a 3-point deficit, that would put us at 53 right here with Sonnet. In between Sonnet and Luna. I don't necessarily feel like they will do that. I don't know why. I don't feel like they'll do that. Even though I feel like, bro, going from 3.6, you're going 2 different versions. You skip 3.7. Now you're at 3.8. It would only make sense to make that huge leap. I don't think they're going to give us that, but I do think that this model is going to be, it has to be at least DeepSeek level. It's going to definitely come in at that 50. It has to. It has to because it only makes sense. It only makes sense. Let me know you guys' thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section as always. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I want to say salutes to everybody. I am finally monetized on this channel now. All to you guys. So I can spend more time dedicating content to this channel because it's another thing that actually I can reinvest in. I've already invested in a lot, but now I can reinvest it more and more of my time because of what has came back with it. We have memberships as well. A lot of y'all have been talking about going live. And I think that that might be something we would do as well. If you want to see me go live more often, comment down below and let me know. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm out. Peace.